qualify for SATU appoint people into positions and they do not qualify for such positions, and it's been causing a lot of havoc in the system. But I hope with time things will get better.
Apart from South Africa, have you been to any other country?
Yes, I've been very opportune to travel to most of the African countries. I've been there in most of the African countries and also have the opportunity to travel outside Africa where I've managed to learn a lot of things out there. So yeah, I'm a traveler by nature. Yeah.
Uh, I can see that you are a great traveler. So tell us about your staying in South Africa. I'm more concerned about your staying in South Africa. What have you learned?
South Africa, it's a very beautiful country. Across the length and breadth of South Africa, if you travel from Johannesburg to Cape Town to let me say back to Durban and Mpumalanga, and then if you go to the northern part of South Africa compared to other countries, I can attest to the fact that it's one of the most beautiful countries. But uh, the only thing I've seen is there are two things in there. One, South Africa is beautiful. The challenge is the people that lives in South Africa. If I said the challenge that about people, the people that lives in South Africa, I'm trying to say that based on tribal lines, we have different kinds of people. Actually, one of the things that excites me about South Africa is the rainbow nation, as they call it. This rainbow nation, we all understand it to be that people of different ethnicity, people of different cultures live in South Africa, and that is why it's called the rainbow color, because we have people of, we have black South Africans, we have white South Africans, we have what Indian South Africans. We even have Indian, Chinese South Africans in South Africa, and this makes it quite interesting. Apart from all these things, we also have a group called the Coloreds, and this makes it so interesting, But then the way the hospitality, it's quite appalling, if I will not lie to you, because you can never wake up a day without hearing about foreigners have done this, foreigners have done that. It makes it that living in South Africa, it's like you are sitting on a time bomb where you don't know what will happen tomorrow, because uh, the maximum days of peace you might have is a month or two, and then a group will spring up. They would say foreigners are doing this, they are doing that, and that makes South Africa uncomfortable, to be honest. This issue of black on black violence in South Africa, this issue of xenophobic attack, and in recent times is the issue of Dudula group, who are now playing the part of detectives, playing the part of the police, playing the part of immigration, moving from homes to homes, attacking people that they are foreigners, and then you know some people are ejected from their homes. Sometimes during xenophobic attacks, people die through some of these things. And apart from that, if not how people behave, South Africa generally is a very beautiful place. It's a nice place compared to other African countries. Their roads are first class. I can tell you the infrastructures are amazing you know if we also come to look at the different cultures like the Zulus, the Xhosas, and then if we also talk about how do you call it, the how do you the Tuanas, people differ according to their tribes, so the behavior of the people according to the kind of group of people you've met, the behavior is simply just different. But so far, I would say I've lived among the Tswanas for a very long time. I've not had any form of problem. They are welcoming, they are hospitable, and I think they are nice people actually to live with. But if you talk of the people, the Kossas, the first encounter I had with a Kossa is very bitter, to be honest. They look a bit rude. They are rude, and they're quite disrespectful. Yeah, apart from that, not much that I know about Kossas and the Zulus. Yeah. Mm.
Okay, I heard a lot about what you've been saying about this our beautiful country, this our beautiful rainbow nation, and about our different people in our SA. So I heard that you are having some qualifications as you are a teacher or you are a teacher.
Mm.
Just tell us about it.
Yeah, like I said from the beginning, I'm a qualified teacher. I had my teacher's training certificate from Jaskan College of Education in the Volta region. Now, I learned Volta region has been divided into two. So, where I had it now is now called OT region. It's no longer a Volta region. So that is where I had my teacher training qualification. After which I moved on to Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, where I had my BSc in finance. It was after my BSc in finance that I decided to sojourn outside Ghana to look for greener pastures. And then after that, when I got to South Africa, I enrolled in Regenesis Business School. I can say it's one of the best business schools that you can find in South Africa. And to those of you who are watching, if you are interested in any business school, I can always say that Regenesis will give you the best. I did my MBA there. It was an excellent experience when I was in Regenesis. And then somewhere along the line, I had a scholarship to study my master's in education in the United States of America, precisely Portland, Oregon, with Concordia University, where I also did my master's in education. Yeah, presently I'm running up with my PhD in economics and management sciences. So in simple terms, that's how it's been. Yeah. No, after let me say almost 8 to 9 years.
See.
Yeah, it's been very long journey since I've been a teacher in South Africa. I worked almost through all the levels in South Africa. I've taught from the primary school until the universities in South Africa. Uh, some of the stories are beautiful to talk about, but others are very ugly. Uh, the schools I worked in, apart from one in the Northwest, where I wouldn't like to mention names of schools, it was very pathetic. That was one of the high schools I taught. We were living very happily. It was a very nice environment where I worked in 3 years, after which we started experiencing abuse from the principal and the deputy. Apparently, the principal and the deputy seems to be related. That is what I know or have heard. They were relatives and were in the same school, so you can see when they team up against you, it's very tough. So, the principal per se wasn't that bad, but if you are a man and you can't make your own decisions, you get ruled by those under you. So he was that type of person who cannot make decisions. Decisions are made by the deputy. The deputy was then a woman who likes controlling and is a bully by nature. He can just call students, insult them at any time that she wants to, and it's the same treatment she makes out to how do you call it, to teachers as well. So there was a time that I didn't like the way I was treated because where the principal has to appoint somebody in a lower grade to be teaching a lower grade, and I was teaching the final year students, the metric year group, for about 3 months. I wasn't getting paid, and when I confronted the principal, he got angry and asked me to leave the school, and this has brought a lot of bad blood between us. It's actually made my stay in that school very difficult. And ever since, myself and the principal, we've been at loggerheads only because I asked to be paid my salary. It's quite awful. It's quite awful why people will be working and somebody just don't want the person to get paid just for no reason. I took this matter to the office. I reported it, but if you are a fowl in the sorry, a cockroach in the midst of fowls, you know how you get treated. So after I reported the case in the Department of Education, the district office, it was looked at with lukewarm attitude. But I wasn't surprised. What do you expect from an expatriate in a foreign land? Don't think you should not expect people to back or support you against their own. So that was what eventually happened, and I decided to quit the job. And then I moved on to another school in the same province, and apparently, I just decided not to work again, not to teach again because that experience was too much. But then I was home, and then a principal sent for me who needed my, how do you call it, my services. And when I got there, I had the same experience, where I am made to teach a final year class while somebody who was teaching a lower grade was getting paid. So I just got paid for the first few months, and then you know the rest of the month I wasn't getting paid. So I was forced to get my salary, and then after that, I quit the department in Northwest. And then after that, whilst I was home trying to see what I would do, and then I received a call from another school in the Northern Cape, precisely around Kuruman, where I went there to go and teach. I've been teaching very nicely in that school. That school is actually called Flagfontaine. You had a very nice principal. The leadership was just great out there. Yeah, even though she also had her own flaws, but I would say she was one of the best female principals I've worked with so far, looking at the encounters I've had with other female principals. So whilst I was still working there, I got poached by another principal in another school in Coldstone, based on what the principal heard about me, my contributions in Flagfontaine. She poached me, and then when I got there, we had a very nice relationship. Uh, but you won't get into any environment without any challenge. When I got to Coldstone, I find out that the the principal uh, actually is the girlfriend to the ex-principal of the school. So the former principal resigned just to make this person the new principal. Apparently, when I found out, it was amazing because that person was new in the school. She only spent about just 5 years in the school, but then she was made a principal. And if you look at even the qualifications she was used to make the principal, it's quite amazing and very pathetic. She was just a foundation phase diplomate as at that time, and then there were also other, how do you call it, other educators on the staff, HODs, who have served the school for more than 20 years, who qualified to be principals in that school. But so far as SATU is concerned, nothing is ever done right. Nothing is ever done right. You can serve for 100 years and somebody will come today based on their relationships. They can just make that person a principal. So that is how that woman became a principal, you know. That is how the woman became a principal in that school. And when she became a principal, I can tell you, it's actually a difficult person to work with. Uh, you know, she hired an HOD and again requested us to do the HOD's work. And you know, when we did not want to do the work, those of us who said no, we cannot do the work, she decided to terminate our appointment in collaboration with the circuit manager. As at that time, to be honest, the way the system, education system is in South Africa, such that powers are given to principals and they can just do whatever they want, especially if a principal wakes up today and feels that he doesn't like a particular teacher, the person gets kicked out, you know. There were a lot of financial misappropriations in that school, where checks are signed for teachers to go and party in how uh, you know, there is a guest house on your way to call something something I have forgotten about it, where SGBs could be given a check to just go and have party, you know. These were the things that were going on. Student trips, they charge students for money, 36,000, and then again the school pays 20,000 for transport only for a principal to travel from Kuruman to how do you call it, to Durban. 20,000 for transport. That is quite awful, you know. So she has to, you know, misappropriate most of the funds. And when you talk about it, you become a victim of circumstances. Why can't you speak about it? We can't speak about such things because the people in the department themselves are as guilty as the principal. Nobody is doing the right thing. Anybody that gets the opportunity, they steal whatever they have. I'm not surprised when I watch Julius Malema's issue when he said that even funeral monies are being stolen by the ANC government. It was nothing new to me because I've experienced it where principals steals funeral money, money that was meant for the burial of three kids. Those monies were deposited into her account, and then you know she uses them as she wants, and until today as we are talking that money cannot be accounted for. So as you see, it's quite a very bitter experience working with such people.
I can see that you have traveled a lot with lots of problems and troubles. So, do you consider South Africa as a xenophobic country based on what you have said concerning education department?
Yeah, in general, I see South Africa as a xenophobic country. Looking at all the other countries I've visited, I think in my definition, what xenophobic means is hatred for people of other nationalities. That is what it means. So if people are attacked on the streets on daily basis because they are not South Africans, and then we hide behind the issue of saying that they are illegal immigrants. Now, how do you detect who is an illegal immigrant? You don't work at the Department of Home Affairs. So how do you just get onto the street, see somebody selling on the street, see somebody working, and then you conclude that this person is an illegal immigrant? So it means that you are not chasing the person out because of, or you are not fighting the person of what you claim you are fighting, which is crime. You have your personal interest or personal hatred. That is why you just get into any homes and start bullying the people, start fighting them. If you do those things, we can always say that this is xenophobia because you have an ulterior motive apart from your initial agenda that you are thinking or you make the public to believe that you are chasing people who are into crimes, who are into drugs. The issue of crime and selling of drugs, is there any country in this world that does not have people committing crimes? Now, if it is foreigners that are committing crimes in South Africa, if it's only foreigners, South Africans are not inclusive, then we can go back to the issue of SASA, where 90 million is being stolen by SASA officials in the same country. 90 million stolen. Are these people foreigners that stole this money? Now, if you go to, how do you call it? I think if we go to the ex-president Jacob Zuma, we had his scandals of over 250 million. Is he a foreigner also? There are a lot of embezzlement. If you go to ESCOM, there will be a lot of embezzlement. If you go to the what public yeah, public, how do you call it? The public department. If you go to SABC, there are a lot of crimes committed by these people in the country. And I think if we can focus on this, I don't think anybody would be worried in South Africa, because I see that if one person or two can steal 90 billion in SASA, somebody stealing 250 million, others stealing more than that in each sector. If maybe the youths of South Africa can focus on these particular things, making sure that these people are brought to book, I don't think anybody will be suffering in South Africa. I don't think that there will be lack of jobs, because this amount of money can be channeled into producing enough jobs for everybody to do in South Africa. Yeah.
Let me check with you.
Yeah.
What if they made you a one-day president of South Africa? What and what will you change?
You know, I would be very excited, even though I've never dreamt of becoming a president, not even in my country or any other country. But what I would change in South Africa, let me see. What I will actually change if I should become a president in South Africa, it's some of the policies. Some of the policies, they are, I don't know, they create xenophobia. The policies already create xenophobia. We cannot live in a country where black people are fighting each other. It's unheard of. If you go to other countries, South Africans are also in other African countries. So the system has made it, some of the policies have made it such that, you know, uh, people can create, can what? Can do anything and move on freely without being answerable to anybody. Unlike look at what happens for the past 3 months, where this Operation Dudula can move on the street freely and do whatever they want, as if it's a lawless country, as if it's a country without a president. Even though the Operation Dudula people were against Julius Malema, I can say, for instance, that Julius Malema stepped in as the president at that moment when the president was quiet and could not do anything about the whole situations. People are suffering. People are being what pushed out of their homes. Do we have to wait until people die before the president comes in? But sometimes, to be honest, I believe in Cyril Ramaphosa as a president, but he seems to be too quiet in most cases. Where he needs to talk, it's like he wastes too much time to respond to issues. Look at the issue that happened in KZN the other day, where shops are looted, factories are set ablaze. How many days did it take the president to respond to these things? I believe in him, and I know he could be one of the best. But unfortunately, uh, this is what we see. He's so slow to respond to issues, and before he responds, too much harm, too much damage has been caused to the state. So I think if I'm the president of this country, I think I would respond quicker than Cyril Ramaphosa is doing.
Who is your favorite politician?
Uh, you know, Before I came into South Africa, Nelson Mandela has always been that icon, even though the story we hear outside South Africa is different from when you come in. Many have believed that Nelson Mandela is a sellout, But what we hear out, it's quite different to us in other parts of the world. Nelson Mandela has been always the hero that we would see him till eternity. But then, apart from him, I think Thabo Mbeki has had always been one of the best politicians that South Africa ever had. You know, so uh, he has been one of the best politicians that South Africa had ever had, and for that matter, I think he would be the best. I've not seen anybody. I had a lot of hopes and faith in Cyril Ramaphosa, but I don't know. I'm quite disappointed so far. And sometimes Julius, yeah, I don't see him being a president, but he's a necessary weapon to the turnout in the economy of South Africa. He seems to have guts. Seems to have that, how do you call it? Take responsibilities that presidents are not willing to take sometimes. So I will go for Thabo Mbeki and possibly maybe Julius Malema.
As an economist,
Yeah.
how do you see South Africa in the next 5 years?
Yes, in the next 5 years, South Africa has a very big potential of growing. South Africa has a very big potential of growing into any other country. It can even be the best country in the world. It can be the best country in the world, but then, if things are going the way they are, the attack on foreigners, I'm telling you, this country would collapse. It will become one of the Zimbabweans or one of the most, even worse than Zimbabwe that South Africa will see in the next 5 years. Why? Because when people are attacked on daily basis, investors will pull out their investments from South Africa. Even myself, I'm thinking of moving out of South Africa, taking out my investment, even though it's not enough. But you want to invest into a country where you can sleep and sleep well, knowing that tomorrow you wake up smiling. But this current situation in South Africa, when you go to bed, you don't know what to expect the next day. Anything is possible. You can wake up and then your shop is burning, your house is burning, you get kicked out of your house only because you are an expatriate in South Africa.
Tell us a little bit about the experience you had with Home Affairs in South Africa.
Yes, with Department of Home Affairs, to be honest, they've been on a top-notch department. They've done a lot. They've done a very good job in the country so far as I'm concerned. Well, even though there have been news of few corrupt officials, but I hope we all believe that wherever there are human beings, not machines, there would be up and downs. It has been very good. The policies have changed over the years, and then sometimes I feel that the present Minister of Home Affairs, Moto Lady, is causing some of the violence that we are going through because his speeches sometimes are unguided. He talks anyhow, and whenever he talks, it's like his attacks are always on foreign nationals. It's always been foreign nationals, this and that, making the populace to believe that all the crimes that are being created in South Africa are being created by foreign nationals. That is the only problem I have with him. If he can guide the way he talks sometimes, I think he is a force that can also create peace in this same country as we've been looking for. And also, the changes they have done, Home Affairs outsourcing some of their services to VFS, I think it's quite appalling because the Home Affairs makes it so easy for foreign nationals to document themselves in the country. It makes it easy for people to get a legal stays in the country. But then, ever since the Home Affairs has outsourced most of their works in terms of permitting to VFS, a lot has changed because Department of Home Affairs will charge you only 450 rand for, how do you call it, for a particular document, and then VFS is charging you about 1,450 for the same document. So if you look at it, you need to pay VFS 1,450 and then 450 to Home Affairs. So if you put the two together, it's about 2,000, which has become too expensive for most foreigners. I think that is why we're seeing a lot of illegal migrants in the system, because the jobs are not there for them to do, and for them to be able to pay for all these documentations, they need money to do these things. But then the jobs are not there, but the, how do you call it, but the charges to do these documentations are very high. But let's look at this thing. The Department of Home Affairs, are they raising funds to support the Home Affairs in South Africa, or they are raising funds to support the VFS in their country? Because whatever amount of money that is made is taken to their country. So why should Home Affairs in South Africa charge 450 for a particular permit, and then what VFS is charging 1,450? It means that they are taking almost 200% of the money that is going to their country. Let's remember, VFS is not from South Africa. I'm sure it is a United Arab Emirates company. So these funds are transferred back to their country, if I am right. Apart from paying the employees with the monies they make, where does the rest of the money go? So why would the Home Affairs give VFS the opportunity of making more money than South Africa itself? This is quite appalling. It's confusing. If you think about the whole thing, you can't understand. If do Home Affairs actually want people to be documented? You ask yourself that question, because if that is the case, it's better all foreigners in South Africa are sent to the United Arab Emirates to go and do their documentation there, because it's obviously documentations are done by what, the UAE, because the contract have been sublet to them, and then they are making most of the money in the country.
I can hear that VFS is taking 200% of the South African income that was supposed to create jobs for those who are unemployed.
Yeah.
So, lastly, tell us about this age limit when coming to employment from 18 to 35. How is it affecting the youth of South Africa?
I actually think this issue it needs to be debated, because I think so far as somebody has breath in him and can still work, there should be no discrimination in terms of age. Now, if you want to work, the companies are asking for, how do you call it, a number of years experience. Where do you want that person to get the number of years experience from before he works for you? Even you yourself, who is the employer, if you are asked that number of years, 5, 10 years working experience before you can get employed, I wonder if you would be able to do that. But these requirements are becoming too much, and now it has made it such that I think this is where the anger and the unemployment is coming from. Now when they advertise jobs, they are saying that if you are 30 years and above, you do not qualify. Some companies have gone as low as 25 years. They said you are not qualified to what? To do certain jobs in the country. And this is creating a lot of tension, it's making a lot of people unemployed. And this is where the violence is coming from, because no matter how long these people stay, they wouldn't get employment because the system has already cut them off.
Hmm. Lastly, I heard you saying that you were teaching here and there, here and there, here and there, and then finally you decided to quit teaching. What are you doing for a living?
Yeah, I'm running my own business for now. That I think it's not bad, but at least I'm very happy that I don't have to wait for the end of the month to get paid by any employer. I'm also very happy that I don't have to work for anybody who would feel that he has the right to insult or talk to me the way he wants. I'm very happy that I am able to contribute to the South African economy by creating jobs for others to also benefit from. But this issue that they're saying that there are quotas that are going to be established for foreign national, according to maybe the sectors, I think that is quite appalling. It's quite worrying, because if foreigners create jobs, they end up hiring locals. Even if they don't hire, if the team or the staff is not 100% South African, even if it is one person that has got hired in South Africa, I think that is a lot of contributions to the country.
Thank you very much for your contribution to
Yeah.
answer this interview.
All right. You are welcome. Thank you very much.